Welcome to the Book of Days Project. Today is March the 1st. March the 1st, first day of the third month of the year. A day noted for being St. David's Day, a feast day particularly important to the Welsh, of all people. St. David, Archbishop of Caerleon, patron of Wales, Swebert of Northumberland, Bishop 713. It is also the feast day of Saint Swebert of Scotland, martyr in 374. Saint David. Saint David, popularly termed the titular saint of Wales, is said to have been the son of a prince of Cardiganshire, of the ancient regal line of Cunada Vladig. Some also state that he was son of Santhus, son of Ceredig, lord of Ceredigion, and Nan, daughter of Ginner of Caergall, Pembrokeshire. St. David has been invested by his legendary biographers with extravagant decoration. According to their accounts, he had not merely the power of working miracles from the moment of his birth, but the same preternatural faculties ascribed to him while he was yet unborn in the womb, or even in advance of it. An angel is said to have been his constant attendant on his first appearance on earth, to minister to his wants and contribute to his edification and relaxation. The bath waters became warm and salubrious through Iris agency. He healed complaints and reanimated the dead. Wherever he preached, a snow-white dove sat upon his shoulder. Among other things, as pulpits were not in fashion in those times, the earth on which he preached was raised from its level and became a hill, from whence his voice was heard to the best advantage. Among these popular legends, the pretended life of St. David in Welsh, in the Cotton manuscript, is the most remarkable for its spurious embellishments. His pedigree is here deduced from the Virgin Mary, of whom it makes him the lineal 18th descendant. Those are exclamation points in the Book of Days. I'm not adding them. But leaving the region of fiction, there is no doubt that the valuable services of St. David to the British Church entitle him to a very distinguished position in its early annals. He is numbered in the triads with Tailo and Copwug, as one of three canonized saints of Britain. Giraldus terms him a mirror and pattern to all, instructing both by word and example, excellent in his preaching, but still more so in his works. He was a doctrine to all, a guide to the religious, a life to the poor, a support to orphans, a protection to widows, a father to the fatherless, a rule to monks, and a model to teachers, becoming all to all, that so he might gain all to God. End quote. To this, his moral character, St. David added a high character for theological learning in two productions, a bull of homilies and a treatise against the Pelagians, have been ascribed to him. St. David received his early education at Menevia, derived from Man'a, a narrow water, firth or strait, named afterwards Dewey, David's Rouse, answering to the present St. David's, which was a seminary of learning and nursery of saints. A nursery of saints. At this place, some years after, he founded a convent in the Vale of Ros. The discipline which St. David enjoined in this monastic retreat is represented as of the most rigorous nature. St. David appears to have been had more superstitious honors paid to him in England than in his native country. Thus, before the Reformation, the following collect was read in the old church of Sarum on the 1st of March. O God, who by the angel didst foretell thy blessed confessor St. David, 30 years before he was born, grant unto us, we beseech thee, that celebrating his memory, we may, by his intercession, attain to joys everlasting. And an inscription for a monument in the Vale of Ewius. Here was it, stranger, that the patron saint of Cambria passed his age of penitence. A solitary man, and here he made his hermitage, the roots his food, his drink, of Hodney's mountain stream. Perchance thy youth has read with eager wonder how the knight of Wales, in Ormondine's enchanted bower, slept a long sleep, and if that in thy veins flowed the pure blood of Britain, sure that blood hath flowed with quicker impulse at the tale of David's deeds, when through the press of war his gallant comrades followed his green crest to conquest stranger. Hatter Hill's mountain heights, this fair vale of Elias, and the stream of Rodney, to thine afterthoughts will rise more grateful. Thus associate with the name of David the deeds of other days. That from Southey, Rabelais, great French author and troublemaker, we are speaking of today. On March 1st, Francois Rabelais, the son of an apothecary, was born at Chinon, a town of Touraine, in 1483. Brimming over with sport and humor, by a strange perversity, it was decided to make the boy a monk. Rabelais entered the order of Franciscans. His gaiety proved more than they could endure, and he was transferred to the easier fraternity of the Benedictines. But his high spirits were too much for these likewise, and he escaped to Montpellier, where he studied medicine, took a doctor's degree, and practiced with such success that he was invited to the court at Paris. In the train of an ambassador, he went to Rome in 1536 and received absolution from the Pope for his violation of monastic vows. On his return to France, he was appointed curé of Médune and died in 1553, aged 70. Wit was a distinction of Rabelais. He was learned, and he had seen much of the world, and for the pedantry of scholars, the cant of priests, and the folly of kings, he had a quick eye and a light-hearted contempt. It was an age of deadly intolerance. Sound familiar? To dissent from the church was to burn at the stake, and to criticize governors was mutilation or death on the scaffold. Rabelais had no earnestness for a martyr, but the contempt and fun that stirred within him demanded utterance, and donning the fool's cap and bowls, he published the romance of Gargantua and Pantagruel. Gargantua was a giant who lived several centuries and begot a son, Pantagruel, as big and wonderful as himself. Beneath his tongue an army took shelter from the rain. In his mouth and throat were populous cities. Under the mask of their adventures, Rabelais contrived to speak his mind concerning kings, priests, and scholars, just as Swift, following examples, did in Gulliver's Trails. He was accused of heresy and irreligion, but Francois I read and enjoyed the story of Gargantua and Pantagruel, and said he could see no harm in it. Calvin, at one time, thought he had found in Rabelais a Protestant, and was prepared to number him among his disciples. But gravely censuring him for his profane jesting, Rabelais, in revenge, named Pan-Urge, one of the characters in his romance, Discourse in Calvinistic Phrases. The absurdity which is overwrought in almost every page of Rabelais prevents his enjoyment by modern readers, although his coarseness gave no offense to the generation for which he wrote. Coleridge, whose opinion is worth having, says, "Beyond a doubt, Rabelais was among the deepest as well as boldest thinkers of his age. His buffoonery was not merely Brutus's rough stick, which contained a rod of gold. It was necessary as an amulet against the monks and legates. Never was there a more plausible, and seldom I have persuaded a less appropriate line than the 1,000 times quoted Rabelais laughing in his merry chair of Mr. Pope. In his easy chair of Mr. Pope. The character of his filth, zanyism show how fully he both knew and felt the danger in which he stood. I class Rabelais with the great creative minds, Welsh, Shakespeare, Dante, Cervantes, etc. St. David and Rabelais are those made mention of on this day, and with one last quick reference to St. David, we will speak of the emblem of Wales. Various reasons are assigned by the Welsh for wearing the leek on St. David's Day. Some affirm it to be in memory of a great victory obtained over the Saxons. It is said that during the conflict, the Welshmen, by order of St. David, put leeks in their hats to distinguish themselves from their enemies. To quote the Cambria of Rolt 1759, "Tradition tales recounting tells how famed Menevius priest marshalled his Britons and the Saxon host. Discomfited how the green leek his bands distinguished, since by Britons annual worn commemorates their tutelary saint." Shakespeare makes the wearing of a leek to have originated at the Battle of Crecy. In the play of Henry V, Fleolin, addressing the monarch, says, "Your grandfather of famous memory, ain't please your majesty, and your great-uncle Edward the Black Prince of Wales, as I have read in the chronicles, fought a most brave battle here in France." King, they did, Fluin. "Your majesty says very true. If your majesty is remembered of it, the Welshmen did good service in a garden where leeks did grow, wearing leeks in their Monmouth caps, which your majesty knows to this hour is an unhonorable page of the service. And I do believe your majesty takes no scorn to wear the leek on St. Ivy's Day. The observance of St. David's Day was long countenanced by royalty. Even sparing Henry VII could disperse £2 amongst Welshmen on their saint's anniversary. And among the household expenses of the Princess Mary for 1544 is an entry of a gift of 15 shillings to the yeoman of the King's Guard for bringing a leek to her grace on St. David's Day. Be a good friend and give your Welsh friend a leek on this day. Bye-bye.